Every night, she served coffee. The incredible truth of the Millionaire CEO single dad revealed. Jake Thompson, a widowed millionaire CEO, stood in the glow of his modest kitchen, steam curling from the coffee pot while laughter bubbled like the warm brew itself. His 10-year-old daughter Emma beamed at him across the table, her eyes sparkling with mischief as she struggled through her math homework. The once gilded edges of his life had dulled since the passing of his wife, but moments like this filled the cracks with a glow that felt almost magical. He had built his tech empire from scratch in Maplewood, a town alive with weekend barbecues and summer fairs, where he was both revered and scrutinized. Whispers drifted through the neighborhood, drawing a line between the haves and have-nots. But at this kitchen table, surrounded by scattered notebooks and Emma's laughter, Jake forgot the weight of wealth. 2 + 2, Daddy, she asked, her small finger tracing the numbers as if they were a riddle she had to solve. 4, he replied, the answer rolling off his tongue like the easiest truth. She grinned like she had just discovered the secret to happiness. Each night, they created a sanctuary here, coffee brewing, their worries circling the drain. But the idyllic bubble began to burst when a fierce storm swept through Maplewood, leaving families destitute, without enough food or warm coats. Jake felt a fire stir within him. He couldn't stand by while people suffered. He wanted to help. But every offer he extended was met with suspicion. What does he know about struggle? They'd ask, the glances they shared like weapons. With every attempt to reach out, resentment thickened the air. He was no stranger to tension, yet one night, as they sat together in their sacred kitchen, Emma's innocent question pierced through his heart. Daddy, do you even care about those families? Or is this just something you want to do to look good? Those words forced Jake to confront a truth he had evaded. The beautiful, complex idea of giving back mixed too easily with his own need for validation. Guilt bubbled like a storm threatening to break. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. As he stared into the depths of his coffee mug, the dark liquid mirrored his inner turmoil. Did he truly understand anything outside his bubble? His head spun with uncertainty, caught between his drive to offer help and a fear of alienation. Under the bright kitchen light, he gazed at Emma, whose big eyes held all the innocence and questions of a world too big for her small frame. The weight of realization sunk in, shifting from his shoulders to his heart. He had a choice to make, a choice that could redefine not only his role as a father but also as a man stepping into a community stitched with pain and joy. Could he become the bridge of understanding? As their kitchen clock ticked softly, Jake felt the moment swell around them. Could authenticity become his best attribute, connecting him back to his daughter and the town he longed to serve? With resolve, Jake knew he had to step outside, not just for the sake of his image, but for connection, for hope. Would he find a way to unite Maplewood, no longer just the millionaire who lived at the top of a hill, but a neighbor who understood the power of shared struggles? The question lingered in the air, echoing into the night as they both leaned into the possibilities ahead. The sun rose gently over Maplewood, draping the town in a golden hue that belied the storm's aftermath. Jake stood in front of the glass window, coffee in hand, watching families begin their day. He could see the signs of hardship etched on their faces, the way their shoulders drooped slightly under invisible weights. It was time for action. How about we help some folks today?" he called out, nudging Emma awake. The idea sparked a broad grin on his daughter's face, her sleepy eyes lighting up with curiosity. "Help? Like with games or toys?" she asked, bouncing out of bed. Jake chuckled lightly but shook his head. "No, sweetheart. I mean really help. Let us get together supplies for those who need it. Food, clothes, whatever we can gather." Emma's eyebrows knitted in thought. Will it be fun, Daddy? She often equated helping with happiness, and Jake cherished that quality in her. It can be. Especially if we do it together, he reassured her. With excitement brewing, they began their day. They rounded up warm coats and non-perishable food items from their home, loading them into the back of Jake's SUV. Despite the joy bubbling in Emma, a part of Jake hesitated. Was he really ready for the looks, the judgment from people who saw him as an outsider? But as he glanced at Emma, the resolve in her eyes melted his fears a little more. Subsequently, they made their way to the community center, where families from around Maplewood came together. The center was buzzing with energy, a market of donations where people visited to collect the essentials they desperately needed. Jake stepped out of the car, a sense of anticipation curling in his stomach. As they approached, a group of children chased each other, laughter weaving through the air. But there were also solemn faces, parents whispering to one another about who had lost what in the storm. The atmosphere was thick with need, and Jake felt a sinking hope. "Let us set up our stuff over there," he said, pointing to a clearing. Emma dashed forward, eager to help. As they started organizing the items, Jake couldn't shake the feeling he was being watched. He turned to see a cluster of familiar faces he had often seen around the neighborhood, some friendly, others guarded. "What is he doing here?" he overheard one mother murmur to another. A pang of anxiety hit him. "Are you sure we should be doing this?" Jake whispered to Emma, who was tying a scarf around her neck, blissfully unaware of the whispers. "But Daddy," she said, pulling the scarf tight, "we're helping." Her innocence lit up his worry momentarily, but as he engaged with others, he felt the skepticism return. A few hesitant smiles greeted him, but others turned away, still wary. After a while, a man approached with sharp eyes, crossing his arms tightly. "Nice of you to drop by, Thompson." "I'm just here to help," he admitted, his voice steady. "It's about all of us, not just me." The man nodded slowly, as if digesting the words. "Words are easy, but trust takes time," he replied, his tone lingering with caution. Jake let the words settle over him, and at that moment, with his daughter by his side, he recognized the truth: he had a lot to prove. Not just to the community, but to himself. They finished setting up, handing out clothes to those in need and sharing smiles. Emma's laughter rang out like a beacon, and even a few moms seemed to soften as they took in the sight of her joy amidst adversity. But the road to authentic connection wasn't going to be easy. Potential allies were still on the other side of a personal barrier, and Jake wondered how many steps would it take to cross it. He looked down at his daughter, watching her with a mixture of pride and apprehension. Could they be the change Maplewood needed, or would the walls remain? As the sun dipped, casting long shadows on the pavement, Jake's heart raced at the thought of what tomorrow might bring. Would he find his place in the community? Or would his past forever tether him to the lonely heights of his mansion? Tomorrow, he would venture deeper, searching for answers. The stakes felt higher than ever. The truth lay just beyond reach, waiting for him to uncover it. The next morning, a crisp chill hung in the air, the remnants of the storm passing like a memory. Jake and Emma jumped into the SUV, ready to dive deeper into their mission. With each mile they drove, Jake's confidence wavered. The past whispered doubts into his ear, challenging his resolve to truly belong in Maplewood. "Where are we going next?" Emma chirped, her ponytail bobbing with the movement of the car. Jake glanced at her in the rearview mirror. "We're heading to Macmillan's Market. They often help organize donations for families in need. I thought we could see if they need extra hands." "Can I help with the food?" she asked, her enthusiasm palpable. "Absolutely," he replied, feeling a warm rush of happiness. If only he could approach this community as easily as she did, everything would feel 100 times easier. As they pulled into the market parking lot, Jake's heart sank a little. The bustling scene reminded him of yesterday, the laughter, the crates of donated supplies, but this time, it felt different. He could sense eyes tracing his every move. A few people were unloading boxes, their smiles fading upon making eye contact with him. "Keep your head high, Daddy," Emma whispered, noticing his hesitation. "We're here to help." She leaped out of the car, her warmth melting some of the ice around his heart. Together, they joined the group, Jake pushing through the trepidation that clung to him like a shadow. "Hey, Jake!" called a familiar voice. He turned to see Lisa, a local florist and one of the few neighbors who had greeted him warmly on his arrival. "Glad to see you back here. The community needs all the help we can get." "Thanks, Lisa. We want to do our part," he said, forcing a casualness he didn't feel. As they stacked canned goods and loaded boxes, Emma's laughter filled the space. She charmed everyone around her, sharing stories about their dog, Sparky, and her latest art project. Jake couldn't help but smile at her. The way she lit up was contagious. "Good to see you, Em," a friendly woman said, kneeling down to Emma's level. "What were you working on today?" "Helping people," Emma replied with unbridled enthusiasm. The woman grinned back, her smile breaking through the tension. "That's what it's all about." Jake's heart swelled with pride. Perhaps their efforts could create the connections he craved. But just as hope began to grow, so did the whispers. A pair of mothers exchanged glances, their eyes narrowed as they pointed at him. The tentative climate around Jake shifted again, throwing him back into uncertainty. At lunch, the atmosphere settled into a companionable hum. Jake sat next to Emma, who was sharing her macaroni with a child she had befriended. It was a moment of laughter, joy, for both of them. Then, the bubble burst. "Are you really charitable or just trying to buy your way into their lives?" A voice sneered from across the table. A man with a trim beard and a scowl shot daggers at Jake. Jake felt his heartbeat quicken. He opened his mouth, poised to defend himself, but Emma spoke first. "We're helping people. That's what matters." Her voice was small, yet it cut through the unease. The table went silent, and all eyes swung toward her. Jake glanced at his daughter, her expression firm but concerned. The innocence in her eyes won out over doubt. The man shifted uncomfortably, the tension dissolving a little, yet it left a scar behind. "Yeah, well, the storm didn't topple your mansion," another woman said softly, her gaze fixed on her plate. The tension snapped back into place, more crushing than before. Jake's heart raced, fear creeping into his thoughts. Was he always going to be an outsider here? He wrestled with that question as he pushed his plate away. This wasn't just about helping, it was about respect, acceptance. Just then, Lisa leaned in, her voice a whisper meant only for him. "You've taken a step forward, Jake. It'll be messy, but don't let them get to you." As the lunch wound down, Jake felt a sense of determination gather in his chest. They had come to provide for others, but maybe they were meant to change perceptions too. It was about more than donations, it was about building a bridge, one fragile step at a time. He looked at Emma, smiling at her new friends. What they were doing could make a difference. But with every kindness came backlash. As they finished packing, Jake couldn't shake the feeling that this was only the beginning. Would he rise to the challenge, or would he remain an outsider forever? With a deep breath, he told himself he had to keep coming back. Tomorrow, he would face whatever was thrown at him. "All right, Emma. Ready for another day of helping?" Emma nodded, her excitement bubbling over. But as they walked out of the market, Jake couldn't help but wonder, what would happen next? How would the community respond when they pushed further into the web of Maplewood sentiments? The next morning broke with the promise of warmth despite the lingering chill in the air. Jake and Emma rose early, eager to return to McMillan's market. Jake's mind buzzed with a mix of anxiety and determination. The shadows of yesterday's harsh words clung to him, but Emma's unyielding spirit spurred him on. As they drove through the familiar streets of Maplewood, Jake made a silent pact with himself. He would not shy away from his past. Instead, he would face it, standing shoulder to shoulder with his daughter. "Are we going to see more friends today?" Emma asked, her voice bright enough to lighten the weight on his shoulders. "Absolutely, Em," he replied, glancing at her smile in the rearview mirror. "We'll make new friends, too." The market was alive with activity as they parked. The sun cast a golden hue over the buzzing crowd, creating an inviting atmosphere. Jake felt slightly more confident walking through the door, bolstered by Emma's hand in his. They joined the throng of volunteers, gathering food items and chatting amiably. Lisa spotted them almost immediately, her face lighting up. "Glad you made it back. We really appreciate your help around here. It means a lot." "Thank you, Lisa," Jake said, grateful for her warmth. Words of encouragement were like a roadmap for the uncertain path ahead. As they worked, Jake slipped into a rhythm. He moved boxes, stacked cans, and even engaged in light banter with other volunteers. For a moment, he felt what he had longed for: acceptance. But it was fleeting. As they organized a corner filled with toys for children in need, Jake overheard the same pair of mothers whispering again. "He's only here because he thinks being a hero can erase his past." One scoffed, her voice barely above a whisper yet sharp enough to cut. Jake inhaled deeply, feeling the familiar pang of doubt creep in. He'd come to help, yet he felt like a charity case himself. Could they see beyond what he had been? Did they care that he had opened his heart to this community? He caught Emma's eye, and she grinned, unaware of the clouds gathering around him. Jake pressed his lips together tightly, not wanting to let her see his turmoil. "Why are you doing this, Daddy?" Emma asked suddenly, a serious tone in her voice, cutting through his thoughts. "What do you mean?" "Helping everyone. It seems like you really want to make them happy." Jake paused, grappling with his own feelings. "I want to show them I'm not just my past. I want to be part of something good." Her small hand squeezed his. "You are good, Daddy." The sincerity in her words made his heart swell. Maybe she could see what he struggled to understand. Maybe, just maybe, their intentions could shine brighter than the shadows that loomed over them. After a while, they took a break and sat down. Emma joyfully recounted stories to her snack group, drawing laughter and attention as Jake observed. For the first time that day, he felt a sense of pride swell within him. Then it happened. A little boy approached Jake, his eyes wide. "Are you really helping us?" he asked, wonder curling his voice. "Yes, I am," Jake replied, kneeling down to meet the boy's gaze. "I want to help all of you." The moment sparked a tiny flicker in his heart, a single connection that felt genuine. But Jake's breath hitched as he noticed the same mothers still watching him, their expressions unchanged. Just when he thought a moment of innocence might change perceptions, the taller mother leaned in closer to her friend and whispered something that made the other nod in agreement, eyes never leaving him. "Let us go help Emma," Jake finally said, feeling a sense of urgency springing him to his feet. They moved back toward the crowd. Their laughter filled the air again, but the weight of judgment remained. With Emma's joy urging him on, he continued to push through his unease. As they prepared for the day's end, he felt a sense of purpose rising within him. It was more than just charitable work, it was about redefining who he was: a father, a man willing to fight for acceptance. Yet in the back of his mind, the looming question lingered: could his actions be enough to change the hearts that echoed with doubt? Would more than kindness be required to truly belong in Maplewood? As they packed up, Jake promised himself he would keep trying, keep building those bridges, no matter how hard. Tomorrow, he thought, would bring new challenges, and a deeper push into the community. And with a final glance toward Emma, he whispered, "Are you ready for more, sweet girl?" Emma beamed back, but in that moment, Jake felt the weight of his past crash down again. Would he finally be able to break through, or was every step forward just another reason for the whispers to grow? As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a warm glow over the streets of Maplewood, Jake and Emma returned to their modest home, the weight of the day falling like a blanket on his shoulders. He tried to lift the corners of his mouth into a smile as he watched Emma put her crayons and drawings away, the remnants of a day filled with laughter and purpose. "Daddy, look!" Emma exclaimed, holding up a picture of a colorful sun and two stick figures beneath it, one slightly taller than the other. "That's us." Jake's heart squeezed with warmth as he took in the art. "It's beautiful, Em. I love it." He wrapped her in an embrace, feeling that flicker of ease that only parental love could bring. Yet, even in that joy, he could still hear the whispers, their sharp edges lingering in his mind. After Emma went to bed, Jake sat on the couch, staring at the walls that felt more like a cage than a sanctuary. Each tick of the clock echoed his insecurities, amplifying the doubts that lurked in the corners of his mind. He pulled out his phone, scrolling through social media, craving connection, yet feeling fraught with fear of judgment. A part of him wanted to seek out the support of the community he had barely entered. But he hesitated, afraid of the judgment he might find there as well. Suddenly, a notification chimed. It was a message from Lisa. "Hey Jake, we're having a small get-together on Friday night, some volunteers and their families. It'd be great if you and Emma could make it. No pressure, but we'd love to see you." His heart leaped, hope bubbling in his chest, but caution tightened around it. What if I'm not welcome? What if the whispers follow me? Jake wrestled with himself, inching closer to clicking reply. An invitation like this felt so significant but also terrifying. Shoving those doubts aside, he thumbed out a message. "We'd love to come," he sent, exhaling slowly as a wave of anxiety washed over him. Jake knew he couldn't let the fear win. Emma deserved better than that. She deserved to know that her father was taking steps forward, even if they felt shaky. Friday evening arrived quicker than he anticipated. Jake dressed in a simple shirt, trying his hardest to shake off the nerves. Emma danced around excitedly, her smile brightening the space around them. "I can't wait to meet more friends, Daddy." As they pulled into Lisa's driveway, Jake's heart raced. The sight of familiar faces as they stepped into the backyard both calmed and stirred him. Warm light strung overhead created a cozy atmosphere, laughter floated through the air, and children played tag around the lawn. "You made it," Lisa called out, her warmth enveloping him like a blanket. "Emma, come meet everyone." Jake watched as Emma's natural curiosity drew her towards the kids, their laughter and joy pulling her into their world. He followed them, the unease settling into the background, if only for a moment. Their play seemed to lift some weight off his chest. But as he turned to grab a drink, he saw them. The two mothers from the market. They were clustered together, eyes cast his way, whispering again. The pit of dread returned. He could almost feel their gaze like a spotlight highlighting his faults. "Stay focused, Jake," he muttered under his breath. Emma was counting on him to be strong. He took a deep breath and willed himself to push past the discomfort. As he approached the food table, he overheard snippets of their conversation. "I don't trust him," one said. "What's his real story? Can he really change?" A wave of hurt mingled with anger surged through him. Their words sunk like stones, sharp and ugly. Was he destined to be defined by his past, no matter how much he struggled to reshape his life? Then Emma appeared at his side, her small hand nested into his, radiating comfort. "Can we go play, Daddy?" "What do you want to play?" he asked, his voice steadier than he felt. She grinned and pointed toward the makeshift swing set. "Let us swing high." As they walked hand in hand, Jake decided in that moment that he wouldn't let those whispers dictate who he was trying to become for Emma. He focused on her laughter, the delight in her eyes. But deep inside, uncertainty lingered. Could he really silence those whispers, or was this truly just the beginning of facing a past he wished to forget? "Ready for the swings, sweet girl?" he asked, giving her a reassuring smile. But inside, his heart raced with the question, when would he find the courage to confront the truth of his legacy, his failures, and how they could potentially haunt him forever. As Jake and Emma approached the swings, laughter filled the air around them. Kids chased one another, their joy infectious. The sight of Emma bubbling with excitement helped ease the tension coiled tightly in Jake's chest. He pushed the swing gently, watching her soar higher, her giggles ringing out like music. For a brief moment, the world outside the yard faded away, just him, Emma, and the flickering lights hanging above. "Higher, Daddy. I wanna touch the stars." Emma squealed, her eyes sparkling with determination. Jake grinned, giving her a firmer push. He relished these moments of pure innocence, where the weight of the world felt somehow lighter. But as Emma swung, Jake's mind drifted back to the two mothers. Their whispers cut through the laughter, like a reminder of the judgment he tried to escape. He wanted to shield Emma from all the negativity, to show her that people's opinions didn't define who they were. Yet, their doubt clawed at him, surfacing old fears he had fought to bury. The party continued around them, and Jake couldn't help but notice the families chatting and sharing stories. Lisa wielded warmth and laughter with ease, drawing children and adults into her circle. He watched her embrace a couple of friends, her kindness shimmering even from afar. He admired that quality in her. Yet here he was, isolated, as if some unseen barrier kept him from joining the laughter. After several swings back and forth, Emma's laughter paused. "Daddy?" she asked, swinging to a stop and looking up at him, her small face serious. "Are we gonna stay here forever?" Her question struck him. Could he truly make this place feel like home? A safe haven where Emma could thrive despite his past. He knelt beside her, his heart full yet heavy, a mix of hope and uncertainty. "No, sweet girl. We're just getting started. We'll have adventures. You and me." Emma climbed off the swing and took his hand, leading him toward the group of children. "Let us go play more. The more friends, the better, right?" Her enthusiasm tugged a smile from him. "You're right. The more, the better." As they joined the other kids, Jake felt a flicker of belonging. With every laugh, every friendly face, the sting of doubt receded a little further. He watched as Emma dashed into a game of tag, her laughter blending with those of the other children. She was glowing with joy, and he couldn't help but smile at her sheer happiness. But just as he began to relax, someone called out from behind him. "Hey, Jake." It was Lisa. She approached, a warm smile on her face, the kind that flickered like sunshine. "I'm so glad you guys made it. Emma seems to be having a blast." "Yeah, she loves it," he replied, his voice steadier than he felt. He wanted to prompt more conversation, to find out how Lisa managed to navigate the community so effortlessly. Instead, the moment was interrupted by the mothers again. They moved closer, eyes gliding over him, whispers now loud enough that he could make out portions. "What if he's just pretending?" one said, her voice dripping with condescension. "Individuals like him never change," the other added. Jake's breath hitched, stolen by their words. The sting of their judgment burned, and for a moment, he felt exposed, like they were stripping away the layers he had fought to build. But just as despair washed over him, he glanced at Emma. She was fully immersed in the game, laughing without a care. The sight of her carefree joy reignited something inside him, a flicker of defiance. "No," he said under his breath, rising to stand a little taller. "They don't get to define me or us." Before he knew it, he was moving towards them. Fear gripped his heart. "Excuse me," he said firmly, his voice surprisingly confident. The women turned, surprised. Jake fought the urge to waver. "I know you may have your doubts about me, but I'm working hard to be a good dad. Emma deserves better than this." The looks on their faces shifted, uncertainty mingled with surprise. The air grew tense, and he could feel the weight of the gathering around him, halting their conversations to listen. "Are you serious?" one muttered, a mix of disbelief and surprise. "You think you can just come in here, just give me a chance?" Jake interrupted, heart racing. He didn't know what would happen next, how they would respond. But in that moment, he felt something else, an echo of strength bolstered by the love he held for Emma. He had faced far worse in life. This was only one step toward something better. The crowd watched, breaths held, as Jake prepared to stand his ground. Would he shatter old perceptions, or would fear reclaim its hold on him? When would he embrace the truth that Jacob Wright had a chance to redefine everything: his past, his relationships, and his future? Jake felt the weight of 100 gazes on him. Each one was heavy with scrutiny and judgment, but he couldn't look away from the mothers standing before him. He could sense Emma's laughter fading into the background, the sounds of joy crystallizing into a tense silence. This was his moment, one he had been avoiding for too long. "Look, I get that you might not understand my story," he said, each word fueled by the love he had for his daughter. "But I'm not here to explain myself or justify my past. I'm just trying to be the best father I can be." A quiet ripple of shock spread through the crowd. The two mothers exchanged quick, uncertain glances. It was a flicker, a moment where doubt crept in, just as it had done for Jake. "Your past is not just a story, Jake," one of the mothers finally said, her voice steady but laced with condescension. "It affects everything. You can't just erase it." Jake clenched his fists, feelings of betrayal mixing with the resolve building inside him. "Maybe I can't erase it. But I can work to make a better future. For Emma. That's what matters to me." A few other parents began murmuring among themselves, reactions unfolding across their faces like ripples in water. The views were mixed, some showing sympathy, others still holding on to their apprehension. The tension hung in the air, thick enough to cut. At that moment, he saw Emma looking back at him. She was still playing tag but had turned her head, sensing the change in the atmosphere. Her brown eyes, filled with innocence and trust, made his heart swell. If only she knew the weight he carried. "Daddy!" she called, running closer, her brow furrowed slightly. "Are you okay?" He forced a smile for her sake. "Of course, sweet girl. Just talking to some friends." "Okay." She cheered, but the uncertainty in her voice worried him. He couldn't let her see how this confrontation was chipping away at his armor. "Don't you think it's inappropriate for Emma to be around someone like him?" One of the mothers scoffed, the condescension dripping from her words like poison. "It's bad for the kids." Jake felt the heat rise in his cheeks, the embarrassment mixing with anger. He wanted to shout, to demand they back off, but he forced himself to breathe. Maintaining composure was what he needed now, for Emma, for the chance to show her he could fight. "Why don't we understand each other instead of judging?" He pushed back, voice calm but firm. "I'm here for my daughter, and I'm not giving up on us because of anyone's past mistakes." An elderly woman watching closely from the sidelines nodded slowly, her face softening in quiet admiration. He caught her encouraging gaze and felt a spark of hope ignite. Maybe his words weren't just falling on deaf ears. As the mothers exchanged glances, clearly losing some of their confidence, Lisa stepped forward, breaking the tension. "Jake's right. We all have a past, and we're all trying to do the best for our kids. It's hard enough out there. Can't we just work together?" Jake's heart swelled with gratitude towards her. The weight on his shoulders lightened just a bit. He had someone on his side, someone willing to stand with him in this battle. But as the group began to shift, murmurs of support emerging, he caught sight of the gleam in the eyes of one of the critical mothers. It was a glimmer of something darker, a determination to keep the fight alive. What would happen next? Would they relent, or was this just the beginning of something more complicated? Just as he prepared to continue, a sudden commotion erupted nearby, pulling everyone's attention away before he could address the group further. A child had tripped, the laughter dissolved into concern. Faces turned, feet moved, but Jake's heart raced for a different reason. In the chaos, he had to make a decision: stay and fight or rush to where he was needed. In that moment of choice, Jake realized he could either continue with his conviction or embrace an unexpected role. Could he be the protector, not just for Emma, but for those around him? As he hurried towards the scene, adrenaline coursing through his veins, one thought echoed in his mind: sometimes, the past was not the enemy, it was the catalyst for change. Would he be brave enough to embrace that truth? The rush of commotion pulled Jake from his thoughts. As he sprinted toward the sound of the fallen child, his heart beat like a drum. Small feet pounded the ground around him, parents scattering to help. His main focus was on the child sprawled on the grass, tears streaming down a small, round face. "Shoo, it's okay," Jake murmured, kneeling beside the little girl who looked no older than Emma. He gently placed a hand on her back. "Can you tell me your name?" "Lucy," she sniffled, her voice so small, it almost vanished in the noise around them. "Hi, Lucy. I'm Jake. You just had a little tumble, huh? Let us see if you're okay." He glanced up to see her mother rushing towards them, panic writ large across her features. "Lucy. Oh my goodness." The mother knelt beside her daughter, hands shaking as she brushed dirt off the child's knees. "Mommy. I fell." Lucy cried, and the mother swooped her into a fierce hug that momentarily silenced the child's sobs. In that moment, Jake felt a stirring in his chest, a mix of gratitude and sympathy. He recognized that fierce love, the primal instinct to shield one's child from anything that could hurt them. He had that too, didn't he? But the moment didn't hold for long. The mother, still shaking with adrenaline, turned her gaze to him. "Thank you. I didn't see you there. I didn't know who would help. It was nothing. Just glad she's okay," Jake said, moving slowly to give them space. He could almost feel the eyes of the other parents on him again, a mix of awe and wariness. It was as if they had taken in his sudden display of compassion and set it against the backdrop of their assumptions about his past. Just then, the critical mother who had spoken before made her way through the crowd. "See, he can be helpful. But it's about more than just being helpful." Her eyes narrowed slightly, and Jake's stomach knotted. "We can't ignore that anyone can put on a good show for a moment." Jake tightened his jaw. He had thought that maybe, just maybe, her tone had softened. He had imagined support, solidarity even, but here it was again, the sharp edge of judgment cutting through the tender atmosphere of kindness. "Look, I'm not here to prove anything to you," Jake replied, voice steady despite the rising heat. "I'm doing my best for Emma and the other kids. That's what matters." A wave of murmurs broke out among the parents, some nodding in agreement, others still holding on to doubt. He could see uncertainty flickering in the eyes of those who initially scorned him. Maybe they were beginning to see a different side of him, one that went beyond past mistakes. He turned back to Lucy. "What do you need? Some water? A Band-Aid?" The little girl looked up at him, her tears drying and replaced by a hint of curiosity. "Can you make it better?" Jake smiled softly. "I can help, I promise. Let us get you patched up." While he helped Lucy, he could feel the crowd absorbing the scene, transforming their judgments into something softer. The elderly woman watched with approval, and even Lisa clapped him on the back, murmuring encouragement. Before he could bask in the warm glow of fleeting acceptance, though, he sensed a thread, a lingering tension. The critical mother wasn't done. "Kids see through facades," she sneered, drawing more attention to herself. "What happens when your daughter gets older? What will you say to her when she finds out?" That question hung in the air, heavy. The laughter of the gathering seemed to subside, tightening into a hush that enveloped them all. Discomfort spread like wildflowers in a drought, uninvited and inevitable. Jake held himself steady, fighting back the reflection of his past that threatened to sweep him away. What did they think he would say? That he was a man in the midst of becoming? Or just a man with battles still to fight? He felt Emma's presence behind him and turned to see her watching with wide eyes, still innocent and trusting. In that moment, he realized it wasn't just the mothers questioning him, it was himself he had to convince. Could he truly step forward into the father Emma needed, while still wrestling with the ghosts of his past? As Jake looked around, he saw something different in the crowd: a shared humanity, a flicker of hope. But would it burn bright enough to illuminate the shadows? Would he be able to win them over, or was he destined to remain an outsider in his own daughter's life? Before he could think further, Emma tugged on his shirt. "Daddy, let us keep playing." Her spirit ignited something inside him. He couldn't let fear dictate his steps. Not anymore. Taking a deep breath, Jake stood tall. "I'm not here just to win you over," he declared, voice breaking through the tension. "I'm here to be a father. And that means I'm choosing love over fear. Every day." The shift in the air was palpable, a collective breath held, waiting. Jake dared to hope, but he was not naive. While heartbeats drummed in unity, others continued to question. What would happen next? Would he be able to bridge the gap between his past and the life he wanted with Emma? Or would the doubts of others threaten to pull him back? One moment at a time, he would find out. Jake took a moment to breathe, grounding himself amidst the swirling tension. He turned back to Emma, her face full of joy under the midday sun. He could see her innocence clearly, unmarred by the judgments of the adults around them. Gripping her tiny hand, he felt discouraged doubt slip away. "All right, let us find your friends." As they made their way toward the swings, Jake realized Emma was no longer tugging him just as a child would. There was something purposeful in her grip, a silent affirmation of their bond, a promise that they were in this together. Suddenly, laughter erupted nearby. A group of kids were chasing each other, squeals of delight mingling with the rustling leaves overhead. A flash of movement caught Jake's eye. It was Lucy, now free from tears, her small body running around like a whirlwind. Her mother had found a scrap of laughter, too. Her eyes narrowed as she turned her back on the crowd and offered Lucy a light-hearted reminder to be careful. "See? They just need some time," Jake thought, heartwarming as he observed the scene. Maybe everyone needs a little time. Once at the swings, Emma hopped onto one and leaned back, joy lighting up her face. "Push me, Daddy," she called. As he gave her a gentle push, Jake felt buoyed, as if he were not just propelling her forward but gaining momentum in his own life. The rhythm of her laughter mixed with the sound of the breeze around them, a melody that brought a smile to his face. "Higher," Emma squealed. "I want to go to the sky." "Hold on tight. We'll reach the clouds in no time," he called back, adding a little more force into his pushes. Yet, deeper in his mind echoed the critical mother's words. What did she know? Could the past really shadow their future? He always thought it would. But looking at Emma's shining face, filled with pure elation, Jake felt a flicker of hope break through his doubts. Every day is a new chance, he whispered to himself. But as all good things must, the moment shifted. The laughter never fully fading, voices among the onlookers shifted, turning back to their unresolved tensions. The critical mother stood nearby, arms now crossed, assessing with narrowed eyes. "Look at him. Doesn't he get it?" she said, her voice traveling through the air. A couple of parents nodded, caught in a blend of concern and skepticism. "He just wants to be liked, but what's really beneath that?" The whispers wound around like a vine, snaking through Jake's chest. It was clawing at him, dredging layers he thought he had left behind. He tried to focus on Emma's laughter, but the hardness in those voices pushed against his resolve. "Daddy, why are those people looking at us like that?" Emma asked suddenly, her innocent eyes darting over to the gathering of adults. Her question pierced through him like an arrow. "They're just watching, sweetheart. Let us just have fun." But inside, doubt began to gnaw at his heart. What if they never saw the truth? What if they never forgave him? Was his past too much to overcome? He took a deep breath, pushing the swing higher. Every push against the ground felt heavier, not just with Emma's weight, but with his worries bearing down. Could he truly be the father she needed if the world continued casting shadows over his attempts to rise? "I'm not giving up on us," he promised quietly, gazing into her trusting eyes, searching for confirmation that there was still a chance for him. Emma's excitement drew him back. "Faster, Daddy. Higher." With each swing, Jake resolved to fight harder, not just against judgment, but for his daughter. Just then, Lucy flashed by again, stopping short to look up at Jake. "Can you come play, mister? We're playing superhero." Jake was taken aback. "Me? Play? Yeah. You can be our hero," she shouted, her innocence unwavering. A glimmer of warmth erupted in his chest. "A hero, huh? Well, I guess every hero needs a sidekick." Emma beamed, full of energy and encouragement. "Let us go, Dad." He couldn't resist her light any longer, feeling the waves of hope washing over him. Maybe there was room for redemption. Maybe, just maybe, he could wear the title she offered him. Yet, just as they turned to join the other kids, Jake noticed the critical mother speaking with a few others. The words drifted to him. "Just wait until the truth comes out." His stomach tightened. What truth? Does she know something he didn't? With one hand on Emma's back and a heart brimming with determination, he took the first step forward. But what if the truth they were waiting for was more than he was ready to face? Would he be able to withstand their scrutiny, or was the facade about to crack? With each step, it felt like he was stepping into a storm with no way of knowing what the clouds would bring. As Jake and Emma joined the other kids, his heart raced. The cry of laughter still rang sweetly in the air, but the nagging voice of doubt lingered. What if their joy was too fragile, too exposed for the judgment that had haunted him so long? "Come on, superhero!" Emma shouted, tugging him into the fray. He couldn't ignore her infectious excitement, even with turmoil circling in the background. The essence of childhood playgrounds washed away his fears for now. In no time, he was running alongside Emma and Lucy, who was now leading her gang of kids, all of them squealing with delight like birds breaking free from their cages. The energy of laughter felt uplifting, and with each twist and turn, Jake felt a small crack in his armor. Maybe there was something restorative in just being present. Suddenly, Lucy halted and spun to him, wide-eyed. "If you could have any superpower, what would it be?" Jake paused, taken aback. It felt ridiculous, but he found himself dreaming. "I think I'd want to fly," he replied, a genuine smile breaking through. "So I could see everything from above and help everyone. Flying helps save people." She beamed, nodding fervently. As they resumed the game, pushing their imaginary superhero limits, Jake couldn't help but feel a sense of release. Laughter bubbled up inside him, washing away layers of distrust. But just when he thought he could enjoy himself fully, the mother's whispers emerged once more in the recess of his mind. Before he could let doubt fester, a sudden laughter rang out. "You can't catch me!" Emma shouted as she sped toward the far side of the yard, her infectious spirit beckoning him to join her. Jake chased her, heart racing and laughter echoing. It felt freeing, the weight of engagement drowning out the whispers, if only temporarily. "You'll have to be faster than that," he called out, matching her speed. But then, just as they reached the others, he caught sight of the critical mother again, the way she stood with her group, glancing back, her eyes heavy with suspicion. The moment of escape was fleeting, flickering before him, held back by chains of doubt. Jake slowed, heart sinking as Emma dashed on ahead to play with her friends. "Mommy!" she called, bright and carefree. But before he could ponder further, he heard the mother's voice again, cutting and sharp. "Behaving now doesn't change the truth. The past doesn't disappear just because he's playing nice." Jake felt the weight of her words settle firm against his chest. Anxiety surged back, creeping in like shadows at dusk. Was this what they would all see, a facade of happiness to mask the wreckage he carried inside? Daddy. Emma's voice floated back, tearing through his thoughts. In her earnestness, she didn't notice the tension brewing around him, didn't see past the smiles. Jake fought to breathe calmly, fighting against the storm of emotions swirling inside. But something shifted. The laughter of children mixed with the murmurs of uncertain parents, creating a choir of connection. He felt compelled to stand firm against the tide of doubt, to find a voice through the chaos. Wait! Jake called out, his voice slicing through the lingering apprehension. It came from a deeper place, a mix of frustration and determination. There's more to me than what you see. I'm not here to pretend. I'm here to be a father. I want to learn, to grow, and to change. Emboldened by the energy of the children around him and the love he held for Emma, he continued. Just like all of you, I have made mistakes. But I'm committing to something better. I'm committing to my daughter, to this community. A stunned silence enveloped the group, surprised eyes settling on him. For a moment, it felt like Jake was suspended in time. The invisible wall between him and the parents quivered, uncertain, wavering. Emma, sensing the shift, turned, her expression innocent yet filled with confusion as she sought to understand intermingled joy and tension. I'm just trying to show her the beauty in helping others, he added, trying to shake off the lingering weight. Can't we all recognize how important it is to support each other in this journey? The critical mother's reaction was immediate. But can we trust you? Her tone was sharp but edged with uncertainty. Determination surged through him, igniting his resolve. Trust is earned, and I get that. I'm not expecting it overnight. His words felt like fire, lighting the path beneath his feet. I need to be open, to keep coming back even if I'm scared. I won't hide anymore. I'm here to stay and stand for Emma and all of you. The silence stretched, but slowly tentatively some parents began to nod, others exchanged looks of understanding. The previous whispers fell to a hush, as if the community was leaning in, inviting him to break the walls even more. Just give me a chance to prove who I am now, he finished, softening. In that, a wave of vulnerability washed over the crowd, slowly replacing judgment with compassion. I think we all appreciate the effort you're making, Lisa spoke up, her warm smile breaking through the previous tension. Showing up makes a difference. As if responding to her, more parents relaxed their postures, and a few children even began to giggle again, pulling at the seams of discomfort that had settled. Before Jake could catch his breath, Emma came bounding toward him. Her eyes sparkled, full of life. Daddy! I want to help. Can I be a superhero with you? The way she believed in him illuminated everything. Absolutely. He cheered. Superheroes always work together. In that moment, the scared past faded slightly, making room for hope, connection, and the promise of something new. Jake knew they still had a long way to go, that whispers and uncertainties might come creeping back. But there, with Emma by his side, he carried within him the resolve to face whatever would come next. As laughter spread through the day, he couldn't help but think, this was the beginning, a hopeful step, both for him and for their future. Hope flickered in his heart with the kind of promise that had been missing for so long. He would continue to fight not just for himself or for Emma but for every moment he had to prove that love could indeed triumph over judgment. Tomorrow would bring new battles, but for now, amidst the laughter and joy, he and Emma were ready. They were ready to embrace this beautiful chaos together. Finally, breaking through the lingering tension, he felt a sense of belonging that they were moving forward. Every moment would be a chance to redefine who they were. And with that thought, Jake pushed higher into the sky, flying with Emma into a more hopeful tomorrow. Would that leap take them to where they dreamt to be? Only time would tell, but he was ready now. So very ready. As the sun set over Maplewood, coloring the horizon in shades of pink and orange, Jake took a deep breath, reassured that he wouldn't just be glimpsed as an outsider anymore. Instead, He saw the heartbeat of his community start to flow through him too. Their journey had just begun. Now, this is the moment to show your support. You need to subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss the next exclusive stories that will inspire and uplift you. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and help others discover this tale. Don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Comment below with your reactions and feelings about the ending. I can't wait to hear your thoughts. Let us keep this narrative alive and growing, together.